So we are continuing the Pokemon application, but today we will be covering Django REST frameworks specifically, and we'll go into detail in a bit about what Django REST framework is and what its strengths are. In addition, we will be defining views and talking about what REST API is, and then using Postman to check the updates that we make to our Django Pokemon application. So what is the difference between Django and Django REST framework? Django on its own is a powerful backend framework for hosting APIs. And the REST framework allows Django to utilize front-end interactions with the backend models through views and really through HTTP requests. So have you guys covered REST at all? Has either Chad, Jordan, or Omar covered REST with you?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, cool. But I know we have gone over APIs, so this shouldn't be too radically new or challenging. Basically, REST is a concept that was created in the 1980s, and it is, let's see, sort of the explain like I'm five version is that it's a way to talk to web applications. There are guidelines for setting information. It's a bit of a buzzword for HTTP-driven APIs. But really, REST is a resource state manipulation through representations on top of stateless communication. And that sounds like a mouthful. So put simply, it's a set of guidelines for how you should build a web API. And it's only one of many styles or patterns, but it is a very powerful one. It, at its core tenet, posits that interaction should be representational. So data is represented through documents such as documents in JSON or XML format. And these documents have the metadata instructing the server what to CRUD, basically what to create, read, update, or delete in the database. And similarly, the REST API consists of commands, simple commands like post, get, put in patch, and delete that very much mirror basic operational CRUDing in a database. The second tenet of REST is that user interaction is stateless. So essentially, state is transferred rather than persisted. Commands sent to a REST API return a result and then are immediately forgotten. Because commands are decoupled, meaning that no command should affect or rely on another command, this eliminates the possibility of erroring out when actions relying on one another occur out of order. Since REST APIs utilize HTTP protocols, Django views can be thought of as functions. Views are simply functions that will take in an HTTP request object and return a response object. And views in Django are capable of doing many things, like rendering HTML templates, interacting with a database, redirecting to separate URLs, handling errors, pretty much anything that you can think of that a user would want to do through the API. So the benefits of utilizing the Django REST framework, aside from just how commonly used REST APIs are throughout the web, is that like a lot of what you've been learning in this curriculum, it builds upon object-oriented design principles. And by building off these principles, it also builds off of Django's inherent class-based views, which are callable requests that return responses as Python objects instead of functions. Also, it comes with a host of views for API generation, like API view and response, and there is a lot of wide community usage and documentation for this framework. So considerations to take when creating views. You'll want to use JSON to send and receive data because JSON is widely available. Essentially, every browser, every language is capable of parsing JSON. And the second thing that you want to note is that you will want to use filtering and sorting when retrieving data. And this is important because databases can get very large and complicated. So you really only want to grab the necessary data from your database and sort it to create consistency in your API responses. So we will be running over, again, the what is it called? The Pokemon application. We'll be creating some views and installing the Django REST framework. And I will demo this live, but we'll just run through a quick overview of what you'll be seeing in just a few minutes. So working off your fresh repository or clone, you will be CDing into the root directory and installing the Django REST framework, which you then freeze into your requirements file. And you will be going into your settings to add REST framework to your list of applications, just like you did with Pokemon app and the Move app last week. Next, you can retrieve a view that's going to look something like this, and we'll be doing that both through Postman, but also through class-based views, through the views.py file. So we'll be going into our Pokemon application, and we will be first importing all of these classes and libraries into our file, and then writing out some code. Here we have a very simple get action that retrieves a Pokemon from the database. And that's about all I have in terms of slides. So let's switch gears and jump into Visual Studio. Does anyone have any questions so far?
Cool. As you bring down the new repo, could you show how you do the git branch again?
Yeah.
Because I keep doing it, but I'm doing something wrong. I've done it before, but I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. We'll do a fresh clone then. So let me share my screen. I can find the dang window. So let's see here. Let's zoom in a bit. Let's actually switch back here. So I'm going to grab a fresh URL, and I'm going to move back to, oops, not there, not there. I'm going to move back to wherever Visual Studio is. And we are going to create a new folder for this. Let me move some Zoom windows out of the way. And where are we right now? All right. I already had a demo running, so let me exit out of this. So let's say I wanted to make a very fresh clone of the repository. And to do that, I'm going to first make a folder, day one, day one, and then I'm going to git clone the URL. So now that I've pulled this down, I'm also going to want to deactivate from my previous virtual environment. So let's do that. Now we have our clean clone. Let's move into that folder. Here, now that we're at the root, you can see if I do a git status, it's going to tell me that my branch is up to date, but we don't want to work off of main. We want to work off of, what is it, day 4. So we are going to use git switch to switch into the day 4 branch. And I believe it's called end of day 4. So let's do that. And now we are switched to this new branch. If we take a look at our directory, we can see that we should have the updates from day 4. So that includes the move app, which is what you all created back on Saturday. I think what else we'll want to do is we want to make sure we are working in a virtual environment. So I'm going to cd up one directory, and I'm going to python-m venv. What is it? Django, Pokemon, example. Now that I have created a virtual environment, I'm going to use source with a directory name, bin, activate to activate this virtual environment. Now I can move in, and because we just forked this, I want to make sure that I am running all the right requirements. So I am going to now run, what is it? Pip install -r requirements.txt. Cool. Now we should be up to date. Let's see. I believe this is everything that needs to be done. So I'm going to run a Docker compose up. Looks like my directory already existed, and this could potentially cause issues. If it causes issues, we'll go back and we'll run a Docker compose down. If it doesn't cause issues, then we'll just move forward. So now I've spun up my database. I'm going to create or add another terminal window. Well, actually, which one is that? There we go. I think this is the right one. Yep, this is the right one. And I'm going to activate my environment in this shell terminal as well. So source, Django. I could actually just, because I'm already in this folder, I'm just going to be writing source bin/activate. Okay, now we are cooking. So let me pull up something real quick. I'm going to pull up today's README just to make sure I'm not missing any steps. And actually, are any of you running through this live with me, or are you just watching so far?
I'm trying to do it live.
Okay, cool. Let me know if you're running into any issues. But so far, you're good, right? You're where I'm at?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Let me pull up today's README. And what we are going to do first is pip install Django REST frameworks. So I'm typing pip install, and I'm passing it in Django REST framework, all one word. Looks like it's already installed. So now I am going to, first off, I want to make sure I'm in the right directory again. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to type pip freeze requirements.txt just to add it to the requirements file. And I should be good to go. Now that we've installed the Django REST framework, we will need to add it to our list of installed apps. So we are going to look for our settings.py inside of our Pokemon project, and this is the wrong folder. Close that. Pokemon project, settings. And now we want to add REST_framework. Save that, going to exit out. And from here, we should be ready to create our first class-based view. We are going to create a view within the Pokemon application. So I'm going to switch over to this Pokemon folder. There's already a views file in here, and I'm going to start importing the things I need. And first, we're going to need, from our REST framework, the views library. And we're specifically going to use API view and response. Next, I'm going to import from our existing models, the Pokemon table. And then we are going to want our move model as well. So we're going to import move. And then we are going to import some serializers. Django.core serializers. Import serialize. Finally, we're going to import JSON so we get use of JSON library. And now we can start with our all Pokemon views class. So all Pokemon is going to be an instance of the API view that we imported from REST frameworks.views. And it is going to allow us to define a get action. And we're going to pass in self because it's Python. And then we're going to want to pass in a request. From here, we want to define the objects that we are going to be retrieving. And we are retrieving Pokemon. So, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to add this colon that I'm missing. And then I'm going to set Pokemon equal Pokemon.objects.order by name. Okay, so we can't send back query sets as a valid JSON response. So we'll be utilizing Django's built-in serializer to turn our query sets into a binary string. So we're going to create a variable now called serialized Pokemon. And we will use the serialize method that we imported. And we're going to pass it in a string called JSON, and then we're going to pass it in the Pokemon objects. Now we can use the Python JSON library to use the loads function to turn our binary string into a workable JSON format. So JSON_Pokemon is our next variable, and we are going to use JSON.loads, and we will pass in our serialized Pokemon binary. Cool. This gives us JSON, so now we are ready to iterate through this JSON data set. And we're going to say for Pokemon inside of JSON_Pokemon. We want to be able to query the database to grab a list of all the moves. So let's say move data for our list of moves. And we're going to pull from the moves table. And we're going to pull, we want to specifically pull, so we'll be using filter Pokemon in fields, and we'll be grabbing moves, the moves column. Let's see, is my formatting right? Nope. Okay, this should be good. And now we are going to assign this to the original Pokemon moves as serialized data. So Pokemon fields, moves, this wrong. So let's adjust that. We'll set this to equal, again, JSON.loads, serialize, oof, JSON, and the move data. And then we will return the response. We want to unindent because we want this outside of the for loop. Okay, let's see. Am I missing anything? Oh, I got response here. Not sure why. Sure why that's colored like that, but we'll see. We'll see if I'm missing something when we try running this inside of our shell. So now we can move onto our URLs because we finished creating our views. So we are gonna jump back into the Pokedex project folder. There's already a URLs file in here. And I believe all we're missing here right now is include. So let's import that, and then let's create some URL patterns. Well, actually, we'll only need one in addition to this existing one. We want a pattern to match. We want a pattern that's going to act as the endpoint for the view. So we're going to type v1/Pokemon, and then we're going to include a URLs file that we'll be creating. So this is going to point to another route that we'll be defining in a new file now called called URLs inside of Pokemon app. So let's save this, and then let's move over to Pokemon app, and let's create a URL file because one does not already exist. URLs.py. And now we got to import. So we're going to import first the path function. So the script knows where to find everything it needs to find. And then we're going to import from views all Pokemon. This is the all Pokemon class that we wrote just a few seconds ago inside of the views.py file. Now we can write another URL pattern, and it's going to equal path. Will be within this same working directory, so just an empty string, and then we'll call all Pokemon as a view, and we will name this all Pokemon. Cool. Everyone following so far? Now, when we hop into our shell, we should be able to import the move and Pokemon tables and directly create new moves or new Pokemon inside our shell. And because the URL path is set up, the shell will know to find the views file and run this code, which again will get the data that we need, which is all Pokemon. So let's give this a whirl. I'm in the right folder. I'm in the root directory. So I'm going to run python manage.py, pass in shell, and we should be good to go. We're going to import move_app.models, import move, and then we also want to import our Pokemon model as well. So Pokemon_app.models, import Pokemon. Now we should be able to create a very new move. So Psychic, for example, it's going to be a move that's named Psychic. All right, now let's save. I have a feeling something's going to go wrong. Whoops. I spell that wrong? PSYCHAC
ESY.
PSY. Good catch. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right on. Now let's try this. Cool. It has saved. Now let's add a new Pokemon as well. So we're gonna do let's do Charizard again. Say new Pokemon equals name of Charizard. Let's give him a level of, I don't know, 25. Say he was encountered. What's today's date? 2023.08.21. Captured equals true. Yikes. What did I type wrong this time? Positional argument follows keyword argument. I am missing an equal sign. All right. Now we should be good to go. Cool. And we should be able to save this. All right. So now let's try retrieving a Pokemon object. Let's say Pokemon1 equals Pokemon.objects.get. We'll try an ID of 1 first. And then let's try pulling a move as well. And now we're going to try adding. And then we're going to exit out of this and we're going to run the server. So instead of typing manage.shell, we are going to write manage.py.run server. Cool. Now let's try creating a GET request to see if our database has been updated with Charizard and the Psychic move. I'm not sure I have Postman set up. Let's see, do I? This might take a while. Okay, cool. Actually, let's close all this out. I don't want to save. I don't want to save. Let's make a new request. We're going to point it to this directory. It's going to be a simple get. And yeah, I'm not sure I have. Let me see, hold on. Yeah, I'm running all of this within a container and I don't have Postman set up to look inside of that container. Let's see, does anyone have any suggestions for what we can do?
Uh, you could just maybe try it in your browser,
Okay,
You
or
should be
you
able
could.
to see if you can get the admin one first, right?
what was that, Ken?
Did you put one for the admin?
What
for
one?
the URL, like the endpoints. Is there one for admin or no?
Um,
I think it would be in the app file that you have the URLs in, maybe,
okay.
or maybe it's in the overall. Yeah, one of the URL files, right? And then yeah, so you have admin, so I feel like you should be able to access admin to maybe see that if that works,
Okay.
just to make sure that everything's
You can also do a HTTP request and just type in some text and see if you get that to pop up. If that doesn't work,
Okay. Yeah, let's see.
yeah, so I guess looks like that works. Yeah, that's definitely what you want. Where's the other URL folder? Is it in the project or the main directory?
I
Okay.
see inside. I only have one inside the project and one inside the Pokemon app.
What I wonder if it's because there's 3 unsaved files and maybe that has to do with something.
Where are the unsaved files? Which ones?
I just see it on the top left on your thing. I don't know which ones they are.
I have a lot of crap open. It might not even be relevant. Let's see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if
Yeah.
So I was following along. Mine seems to be working okay. Maybe there's a typo somewhere.
Oh, cool. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look at our request again. Requested URL was not found on the server. One V1 Pokemon app URLs. Looks fine too. Yeah.
I was looking away for this part, but you did your pip install for the REST framework.
I did, right? That was like one of the first things I did. I ran the pip install for the requirements file, and then we did the pip install for Django REST framework.
I thought so. I was looking away. So I wasn't for sure.
Let's see. What about this? Somebody said they had it working right. Would you like to share your screen and just show us a request?
You also might be able to get more information going to the Django GUI, like if you hit the endpoint through the Django GUI,
Okay.
which you just go to a browser and try to hit that same endpoint. It might give you a more verbose error message.
Do you think the container was already running and that was like the error message with the Docker? And if you just Docker compose down and Docker compose up, it will get rid of it. I was wondering if maybe it skipped over just making the server because there was already a server there.
It might have. I could try that.
I was looking away for this part too. Did you add REST framework to your installed apps?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I pretty much just copied everything you did, so
Okay.
I was just trying to think of when I wasn't watching.
I am gonna try Docker compose down. And Docker compose up again. No luck. It is still returning a 404 not found. Yeah, I'm trying it through the browser and not really getting anything different either. Okay, someone said they had it working though, right? Would you like to share your screen? Cool. Right on. So now we could see inside of the body. We have the psychic move, and we have Charizard. Looking good. Yeah, we can try to troubleshoot my connection a little more after the recording, but let's just finish through the rest of the README today. So I'm not using up all the time that you guys have that you could be spending towards the school's API challenge. Okay. Now that we have confirmed that we can pull this data through Postman, the next thing that we're going to do is create another CBV to grab all the moves. So let's see. Let me resume sharing. Cool. Now we're going to be going into the Move app folder, and we'll be creating a views file in here as well. Looks like we've already got a views file. We just have to add our imports and our code. So we're gonna import from the REST framework, pretty much the exact same thing as the other file. Do an API view, and we're gonna use response. And we want to import our model and our serializer. Now we are going to create an all moves view, which will retrieve all of the moves in the move table. It's going to be a simple get, and we're going to create a variable moves to hold all of the moves. And again, we will need to pull a serialized version of this move set. So this is going to pull a binary string of all the moves inside of the database, ordered by name. So we want JSON, move objects, all, and we will order by name. And then we're going to use the JSON loads function, and then we're going to return Oops. I'm going to return our moves. And again, we want to add within our URLs. Well, we'll need to make a new URL file actually. So urls.py, and this is going to be inside the move app directory from Django.urls, import path, from.views, import all moves, and then our URL pattern. Oops. All moves as view name equals all moves. And the last file we will have to update is the project's URLs file. And in here, we're going to create another view or URL pattern for our moves endpoint. So this is going to include the move_app.urls file. Now we should be able to make a request. Looks like I'm missing something. I'm missing a comma. All right. Now we should be able to make a request to this endpoint. I don't think it's going to work for me because something is wrong with my configuration somewhere, but let's give it a shot anyway. Whoops. All right. Same thing. It would basically do the exact same thing that Tyler just demonstrated. We make that request and it's going to return all the moves inside the table and we would be able to see it inside of Postman. And that's about it. Does anyone have any questions? Cool. I am going to create some breakout rooms. You all are going to work on School API 5. Yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to either Tiffany or myself. If you're curious, we will continue troubleshooting my setup inside of this main room. All right, let's stop sharing. And I will create some breakout rooms. And of course, like usual, feel free to take a quick break before you get started.